happened to you that you planned an entire day of productivity, but like a domino game going down, everything falls apart? What do you do then? Do you run into an array of panic, try to fix things, but eventually get tired? Or do you scan the situation, plan what has to be done, and then act upon it? Well, in this 21st era, when a pandemic hit us out of nowhere and caused disruption in the world's healthcare, economy, and policies, I am sure most of us would choose to panic in a sudden and difficult situation. This disruptive event that can lead to threatening all productivity and profits is known as a crisis. And here we are today to discuss more about crisis and how to manage it. Hello and welcome to this educational module. My name is Anisha Kar and I am here to talk about one of the most important aspects of public relations and corporate communication, that is crisis management. Well, what exactly is crisis management? It is the process by which an organization deals with a disruptive and unexpected event that threatens to harm the reputation, finances, and the image of the organization. One standard question that everyone asks is, how do you characterize a situation as a crisis? An organization goes through n number of difficult situations, but not every one of them is a crisis. To understand which is a crisis, one needs to differentiate between an issue, an incident, and a crisis. An issue is usually the subject leading to debate in an organization. It is generally short-termed, involves lesser employees, which can be solved with politeness and a little presence of mind. Excuse me for a moment. Hello?
Hello. I haven't received my package yet. Can you please fix it?
We are very sorry for your inconvenience, sir. We will make sure that your package reaches you by the end of this week.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for understanding, sir. Well, that was a customer complaint and an example of issue. An incident is a situation that has serious but lesser implications and, if not handled, could turn into a crisis. Incidents are more predictable and can be dealt with well-preparedness and well-rehearsed means. For example, an organization puts up an ad on its social media page which hampers the ideologies of the public, but they are prompt and smart enough to take it down immediately, issue an apology, and clarify the matter. An example of incident. A crisis is a situation with a high level of uncertainty and it disrupts all core activities of the organization. It is generally long-term, needs urgent action, requires planning and involvement of the C-suite employees. The world has seen numerous crises, starting from the worm-infested Cadbury bars to Volkswagen emission scandals, Equifax data breach, and so much more. Some may state that there are certain steps or processes to handle and take down a crisis, but experts from the PR field claim that there are no certain textbooks method to take down a crisis. Managing a crisis and strategizing solutions depends on the situation and the level of importance. I would like to give you a few pointers so as to help you not panic during a crisis situation. So how do you strategize during a crisis? First, one needs to scan all the information and facts and analyze where and what went wrong. Second is to plan by assigning roles and responsibilities to the team and prepping them to answer the generic questions of who, what, where, when, and how. After prepping the team, the priority is the development of the key messages which will help in drafting press releases, quotes, etc. Third is to act. Release statements for the consumers via media and address fully the problems that have happened and what are the steps you are taking to remedy the situation. It is advisable that an articulate, credible and empathetic person should talk to the media in case of press conferences or high-profile meetings. Last and the fourth point is to react. That is, implement a change in policies in the work environment, keep a track of the situations where the critical error happened, keep a track of the media conversations and the social media messages, and cooperate with the team members. Now let's talk about what happens after a crisis. It is never easy for a brand to get back to its original stature post a damaging crisis. To reposition the brand and step into the world of challenges, the brand needs to be honest and acknowledge all the mistakes that have been made. Circulate and release factual information via concise, concrete, and accessible mediums of communication. Be creative and empathetic with your approach to build the consumer's trust. Brand reinvention strategies should be implied by the PR team. Make sure to reconnect with the core values of the brand, like the mission, vision, and the aim of the brand. Lastly, establish and actively maintain a social media platform across relevant platforms like Instagram, Facebook, etc. for the brand to reignite in the consumers' minds. To talk about crisis management and not mention one of the biggest cases of the country would be unfair, right? A savior to a hostelite, a trekker's go-to snack, every mother's quick pick from the supermarket, and every child's delightful choice. This noodles brand surpassed all its competition, but met with a huge crisis in June 2015 when the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India imposed a nationwide ban on the brand due to the presence of high amount of lead and MSG. You are right, I am talking about Nestle Maggi. A bright yellow packet went missing from the Indian kitchens and the market shelves were filled with unfamiliar names. Losing 80% of the market shares instantly was a mere personification of how big of a tragedy and damaging crisis this was for Nestle Maggi. But cleaning all its name, Maggi bounced back in India in a few months and reigned and repositioned the brand to again become a commonly uttered word in the Indian households. How did they do that? By applying the strategies that we discussed before. The brand was honest, apologetic, and clarified all facts. They were empathetic to gain the trust of the consumers back. Nestle tapped the power of omni-channel marketing, which was a great move. Nestle actively marketed Maggi even while it was off the shelves during the crisis, using its absence as a point of engagement for loyal customers. The brand created a series of short films under the campaign #WeMissYouToo, which built an emotional connection with the consumers. Once the new Maggi stocks were back on the shelves of the market, Nestle started its relaunch campaign, where mothers were the protagonist. Through advertisements, they shared stories of their association with Maggi and how relieved they felt that now Maggi is back in their house. Same packet, new promise. That was the masterstroke by Nestle. Maggi was available post the crisis in the same yellow packaging, only with added healthier ingredients. The same yellow packaging kept the nostalgic feeling of the customers intact, while the healthy added ingredients added to the trust that Nestle badly needed. Other than the strategy of heavy promotion, Nestle took a step further and devised a plan to connect with its consumers by entering into the social media world. This sent out a dominating message that whatever the brand had lost in this short time, it is back again to reclaim its position. Moreover, making Maggi available on platforms like Snapdeal and Amazon led to the availability of products in the online means by not restricting it to only offline means. And that is how Nestle Maggi began to reign the market yet again, post that massive crisis. Before wrapping up, let's do a short revision of what we learned today. First question. What is crisis management and how do you characterize a situation as a crisis? If you guessed it right, crisis management is the process by which an organization deals with a disruptive and unexpected event that hampers the reputation and finances of the organization. To know if a situation is a crisis, we need to differentiate between an issue, an incident, and a crisis. An issue leads to an incident, and an incident, if not controlled, leads to a crisis. Next question. How do you strategize and manage a crisis? The correct answer is to scan the information, plan the solution and the team, act responsively by giving out the statements, and react by monitoring processes internally and externally in the organization. The last question. How do you reposition a brand post a massive crisis? Acknowledge the problem to gain the trust of the consumers. Be honest and empathetic with the key messages like the press statements, social media posts, etc. And implement brand reinvention strategies to reposition your brand in the market. So remember, the strategy and the secret to crisis management is not good versus bad, but to prevent the bad from getting to the worse. That's all for today's module. Until next time, happy learning.